Welcome to First and Goal, presented by Pickett Sports. Happy New Year, breaking down week 17 of the NFL after just a wild day of college football. We get a full slate of NFL, so a lot of football to break it all down. It is me, and it is Matkafee. Matt, what's going on, man?
Not too much, Will, man. Just trying to recover from those college games yesterday. I mean, I didn't have a single bet on one, but I was sweating the whole time. Like it was nuts. Defense optional. I should have just parlayed the overs, and it would have been a sweat-free kind of day. But yeah, doing good, man. Starting the year off right. Got to play NFL action, and my soccer team's top of the table. That's just good too. So can't complain.
I had Ohio State 14-1 to win the title, and my goodness, that was a tough one. Harrison going out killed them. Just got way too conservative.
Yeah.
You knew, I mean, setting up for a 50-yard field goal, you knew that was probably not going to end well. And boy, you feel bad for that kid. That kid's going to live with that the rest of his life. Just brutal.
Yeah, that was a tough little sequence there. I like that they ran on first down, but I think they should have tried to run more. I mean, why have Stroud throwing the ball when he's finally shown that his legs are a weapon?
Right.
I think he probably cemented his number one pick.
Although Young played well too.
He did, but I think with the
Going
only
against
question
Georgia.
mark with Stroud was like, hey, will this guy run if he needs to? And I think he showed quite a bit. And then you throw in the fact that Harrison goes out, Smith and Jigba's been out most of the season, and all that. It's just the guy I thought had a really strong game, but like you mentioned, they just got too tight in the fourth quarter there. You're up multiple scores. You just can't let a guy run up the seam of your defense like that. But that's why I can't bet on college football because it's just so bad, consistently bad. That's the only thing you can predict is like the defenses will get burned and mistakes will be made. Guys will fall down and let guys score touchdowns, and you're just like, oh my gosh, NFL is hard enough. So we'll stick there.
Let's start here in a situation, Carolina and Tampa. Tampa can clinch the division with a win. Carolina, if Tampa would have lost last week to Arizona and Arizona just gave the game away, Carolina would have been able to clinch with a win and a Philly win over the Saints. But Carolina's going to need 2 wins now to get in.
Yeah.
We've seen some movement here. The look-ahead line was 7, got down to 3. Now it's 3.5. Tampa's got some money. A lot of people think this is an overreaction. I just don't know how you lay points here with Tampa. Tampa's just been so bad. I actually think Carolina beats them. I just haven't been impressed with Tampa at all. I don't know how you could be. What are your thoughts here? Bucks, Panthers, Bucks laying 3.5.
I don't think they'll beat them, but I do think they'll cover the 3.5. This is just the Panthers will probably jump out to a lead too. I would be happy to take the Panthers on like the first half money line even. But something about Tom Brady when they get out of that Byron Leftwich offense and they just start running 2-minute offense, they look good. And it's going to come down to the last drive of the game, and I think the Bucks will win this at home here. I'm just pretty confident in both teams not being great, so I do see the variance in play of like, hey, there is some value taking Carolina here, but I just think with the playoffs on the line, Bucks at home, I think they'll win the game at the end. But 3.5 is great. You might win this game 19-16 or some 20-17, somewhere in that kind of range. Panthers should be able to run the ball pretty well, I would think. I like a few of their player props, but I think Brady could have some success today through the year. Horn going down,
Big issue, yeah.
Yep, it hurts. So let's see if the Panthers can stop Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. There's just enough for me to like the Bucks on the money line, so maybe a money line parlay or something like that. But I think there'll be a time where the Panthers take the lead in this game, and you could just take the Bucks money line probably at halftime around even money, and that might be where I jump in.
Would you be worried if you're betting the Panthers? Would you be worried? Look, the NFL, they know how to make money. They like to make money.
Right.
Tom Brady being in the playoffs, probably facing the Cowboys in round 1 is a lot different than Sam Darnold being in the playoffs round 1. Is that something that you would take into account here?
Oh, I mean, I if you're suggesting that the NFL might be rigged,
Not that,
no,
not
I
that
know. It's one of those things that yeah, the refs
50-50
will.
call.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to get the calls. The Panthers. There's. I don't even understand what they're trying for. I guess Steve Wilkes' job or something. Like they're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs. They have no legitimate chance to do anything. I would be trying to trend the other direction. But hey, if they can somehow win this division, they probably get Wilkes the permanent job. Uh, but yeah, Tom Brady at home, playoffs on the line. There's just too much. I've seen this movie too many times. We'll say they'll every like you said 50-50 calls, things like that will go their way. Um, and yeah, with the banged up secondary for Carolina and Tampa being so pass heavy, I think they'll just have enough to get it done.
How about first touchdown score? Fournette is the short shot plus 550. Then you got Foreman plus 750. So both the running backs at the top of the board. Anybody you look at first touchdown?
Um, gosh, I kind of think that. I'm looking down here. The middle of the market here. You got guys like Julio Jones and Russell Gage, Kate Otten. I think I'd be more inclined to go that way than one of the running backs. It, it's anybody's guess. I don't have a great read on who I think would score. Obviously, Fournette's got a great nose for the goal line. Foreman just gets his touchdown sniped constantly. So, Chuba Hubbard and Blackshear, they seem to get in there and get touchdowns where Foreman has done the work between the 20s and then he gets pulled out of there. So, yeah, I think I'd rather go like a guy like Julio.
All right, sounds good. I'm on the Panthers. I do think I got a feeling. You never, like you said, you never feel great betting against Brady. Figures out a way with his voodoo magic to pull these games out. I think Carolina is just the better team right now. I don't like what I've seen from Tampa, so I do like Tampa. Another game with playoff implications.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you, McAfee, the Browns are not the ones with playoff implications here. But Washington can get in with a couple of wins. There's scenarios where they win today and they clinch a spot. There's scenarios where if they lose and Green Bay and Detroit both win, Washington's out. So a lot of moving parts here. Washington's favored by 1.5, total 40.5. What do you like here, Washington and Cleveland?
I mean, I would take Cleveland to win the game outright.
Of course.
Carson Wentz is playing quarterback. If you're confident that he'll play well and get the win, then go ahead and back him. I'm not a person that wants to ever invest money with Carson Wentz. This will be a knockdown, drag out, gross, ugly game, and somebody's probably going to win it 16-13 or something, just nasty. So I would rather just take the Browns. I think you have the better quarterback. I think you have the more talented roster. It's just there's too many things here. Now, yes, motivation is a thing that you got to kind of handicap here, but to me, the Browns are just simply the better team. I like taking the better team here.
How worried are you about Watson? This is now 4 games. You could say this is now a full preseason, but and some of it he's played in bad weather. How concerned would you be about Watson?
Oh, I'm not concerned at all. His missing 2 years is unprecedented, basically. And he wasn't allowed to practice this year with the team. So, basically had this huge thing. I'll start worrying if we're into week 4 of next year and he's looking bad. But all these different things need to come together, take some time. Like you mentioned, weather, but I think he showed me some things with some of his throws in some of these weather games that I'm pretty confident he'll be fine playing in the cold and wind next season. To me, you got to give this guy more runway than just 4 games after being out for as long as he was. The talent is there. I think he's a top 5 talent at the position. You give him plenty of chances here. Obviously, you invested a lot of money. but he's only what 27 years old. So, if he was 33 and it was looking like this, I'd be a little more worried. Like Broncos situation here with Russell. But yeah, Watson's he's just too good. Uh, and I will evaluate him next season. But this season, just about getting reps, getting comfortable, and getting his football legs back.
Would you play under 40 and a half? I agree. It's
Yeah.
close, low
Oh yeah.
scoring. That's a play.
Yeah, I would play it. I'm pretty confident. Rivera, he's kind of a wild card sometime on fourth down. Sometimes he'll go for it, sometimes he won't. But I think with the playoffs on the line for them, they're going to be a little more conservative. Uh, and that's also kind of why I lean Cleveland too, because with being officially eliminated and nothing to lose, like Stefanski can just go out here and try different things. Whereas Washington will be playing a little tight. But yeah, under makes sense for me. Both teams do run the ball. The only thing that worries you is Wentz and his propensity to turn the ball over. You get those defensive touchdowns that can really hurt your under. But I think you're pretty safe here.
How about the Browns on a teaser? To me, that's a perfect leg for the same
Yeah,
reasons. Close, low scoring. You get from 1.5 right up to the 7.5. You go through the 3, you go through the 7. Browns probably a good teaser leg, I would think as well. Anything for first touchdown as they pull up the odds here at FanDuel. And of course, this is First and Gold presented by Pickett Sports. Goal Boys. Brian Robinson, the short shot plus 500. And you get Chubb 6-1. Anything jump out to you for first touchdown? Anything worth a play?
um, there's a few things in here I was looking at that I was thinking might be worth a look. The quarterbacks are both over 20-1. I'm looking at like Watson and Wentz here on DraftKings 22-1 each. I think that's a decent play. Watson showed he can run last week, and with everybody keying in on Chubb, that's an element to this offense that is pretty dangerous. But um, Kareem Hunt 14-1. You don't normally get him at that kind of value. He's usually 7-8-1. I think that's a good look. Curtis Samuel kind of 12-1. I could see that being a good play too. Um, Maybe a dark horse, Jonathan Williams potentially. No Gibson today, right?
I
And
believe
so
it's no Gibson.
yeah, no Gibson. So I mean Robinson, he'd probably be your guy. You would get the first crack at it, but when it's Gibson and Robinson, they're almost equal in price. They're almost always 7 or 8-1 each, and you get Williams here, almost twice the price, or actually more than twice the price, almost 3 times the price. I think that could have some value. Browns struggle to stop the run.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I don't have any feel for the side. I do think the Browns are great as a teaser piece. I like
Yeah,
the under. So I think we covered that one pretty well. Eagles with a chance to wrap up the division. They are laying 5.5. They are hosting the Saints, total 41.5. Any thoughts, Saints and the Eagles?
I would think the Eagles blow them out. Honestly, like if Hurts is here, this is probably 8, 9 points. Yeah, and that doesn't seem to make sense to me why it's only 5.5. They showed me enough offense against the Cowboys to I don't see any reason they don't score 30 points today. And the Saints aren't going in there and going to be able to compete. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to take that, but I would happily. And maybe you just tease the Eagles down. Browns up. You throw them on there. You basically get money line for the Eagles here. I mean that makes sense. Minshew showed he can move it. I guess the Eagles would want to win this game to just have it done and over with, right? Because then maybe you can bring Hurts in for a half, just kind of keep him somewhat warm and not you don't want him sitting out for a month before they play a first game, but you'd like there to be no pressure in that last game, I think so. Um, yeah, Eagles for me pretty comfortably. I don't really get the number.
Yeah, Saints aren't terrible defensively. They could have won a couple more games, like a lot of these games that could go either way. Yeah, I've heard some sharp people on the Saints. I can't back the Saints. I could see this being a situation where Philly, that's a chance to wrap up the division, the 1 seed.
Yeah.
That's a rabid home crowd. It's a dome team outdoors, so you're worried about that a little bit. Dalton does play pretty well against zone. Philly's going to play a lot of zone, so something to keep in mind. It's not a play for me. I'd probably lean towards
Yeah.
Philly though, and like you said, Philly on some sort of money line. I'm with you. I don't think they let this go any further. I don't think they go into next week having to clinch the division. Although
Yeah.
that, if it does, then it gets pretty interesting. I know they got the Giants at home, so they're going to get the 1 seed of the division. You'd think it's just you'd want to wrap it up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this is one of those splits that it's like 80-20. So you're really kind of, you're going to be out on an island here if you want to go take the Saints. And I don't know. I mean, to me, it's a play where maybe you're just playing your power rankings and you're playing the number. But to me, the number doesn't make sense. Like I said, if it's Hurts, this is more than 7 for sure. And Minshew showed he can move the offense. So
I think the case for Philly is they're just beat up. The injuries are starting to take a toll, whether it's Lane Johnson and now
mhm.
Minshew. And you could argue about how much an offensive lineman is worth, but I think that's the case that Philly's just sort of beat up here.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I mean, the Saints, they've had their chances. Like you said, they played some close games, but yeah, I just think the Eagles will have too much. Where I can't see the Saints scoring 24 points or so, and I think that's what they'll need to get up to if they're gonna stay inside this number. So,
Yeah.
um,
Plus, it's sort of that dead number. You're not getting the 6. You're not getting the full
right.
touchdown. That 5.5 is a little bit that in between dead zone where over a field goal, some games land on 4, but not that many games are going to land on 5. So kind of a weird number.
Yeah, I mean, and if you go to bed tonight and you're like, man, that Saints 5.5 that I had, like, are you happy you took that? Like, I guess so. I mean, I think there's better opportunity than trying to grab the Saints on the road catching 5.5.
Right. Right. First touchdown score, Sanders the short shot plus 550, AJ Brown plus 750. If you think the Saints are going to get in, you can get Kamara plus 850. Anything you jump on here for first touchdown? Goddard 12-1.
Man, yeah, I would lean one of the Eagles. I think that there's value in Jawan Johnson. He's been obviously a huge target for the Saints offense. Um, but to me, I feel like you got to go an Eagle here. Um, and I don't know. I mean, Sanders, I can't get on the right side of Sanders. If I back Sanders, it's a Hurts day or vice versa. Kamara, he just doesn't score enough to justify his price. So I think a Goddard or maybe Devontae Smith would be the way I would look. I know Minshew can sneak down there. He got his rushing touchdown, but I think I would like a better number than the 20-1 that I'm seeing. So um, yeah, I would say Goddard or Johnson. And maybe that's the play. Maybe it's a tight end touchdown parlay day. You do a little Goddard and Johnson. That might show up in my channel later.
A game that I don't want to bet. I don't want to watch. I don't know how much time we have to spend on unless you have some thoughts on no playoff implications. Atlanta is actually finally eliminated.
Mm.
They're laying 6.5. They're hosting the Cardinals. It's going to be David Blau for the Cardinals, who are on their fourth quarterback. So you go from McSorley to Blau. I don't know how you price some of these bad quarterbacks. I don't know. You go from the third guy to the fourth
Mhm.
guy. I don't know how you make the adjustment. I don't know how Atlanta's laying 6.5 to anyone. I don't really want to bet on Blau. This is a pretty easy pass, maybe an under 40.5. Ritter hasn't looked great. I don't know. What do you have here? Falcons and Cardinals battle the birds, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a game where you could take the running backs like Algier, Patterson, and Connor, and probably have some good stuff come out of that. Their touchdowns are all about even money or a little better for Patterson. You're getting almost it's like $1.65 I'm seeing. That makes sense to me. I am going to go ahead and play JJ Watt for a sack on DraftKings at minus 105. Kind of the unofficial retirement tweet that went out and kind of made the rounds here. So these are going to be his final 2 games. You mentioned a rookie quarterback. The Falcons don't have a great offensive line. I think Watt, uh, he's going to want to go out and do a great job. Obviously, there's a little little bonus in his contract here. I think he makes an extra 100 grand if he gets one more sack this season, which will bring him into double digits. But I just think a dominant player here in his final two games, you're going to get a really awesome effort out of JJ Watt. So I think him for a sack is a good value. Um, Outside of that, yeah, I'm not going to get too crazy. I think a like a Connor and a Patterson touchdown parlay, or just play their straight touchdown, is probably a good look too. I would say one other thing, but he unfortunately isn't healthy. Pitts, this is a smash spot. The Cardinals are so bad against the tight end; they're like the worst team in the NFL against the tight end. But I'm not going to play one of the other guys down the board. That may come back to bite me. You can text me when Parker Hesse or who's the other guy? Mecole Pruitt gets the first touchdown at 35-1. You can be like, oh, you were right, but I'm not going to play it. I'm just not going to play it. I don't want any part of it.
I don't think I'll text you that because unless that touchdown happens in my living room, I probably won't know about it. Maybe I'll see it across
Right.
the ticker, man. I can't imagine watching this game. That's a brutal football game. It's funny. The only game this week between two teams with winning records is the Monday night game, Bills Bengals, which is fantastic. So a lot of kind of ugly matchups, even though they're all fun. They're all a lot of these are important, and we're going to end up, I'm sure, with a very entertaining day of football.
Yeah.
Just on paper, not a lot of matchups where both teams are good, but. Moving on here, Texans, Jags. This is a fascinating game.
Yep.
Just because the Jags don't need the game. The Texans not only don't need the game, it makes sense for them to lose because they could lose out on the number one pick. As if they win a game and the Bears win their next win a one game. So if the Texans end up winning one, the Bears lose out. It's going to be the Bears who get the number one pick. And I know what you're thinking that, all right, well, they're not going to pick a quarterback anyway. Well, they're probably going to auction it off to somebody who does pick a quarterback. So you want the number one pick if you're Houston, but then again, do the players care about that? Do the coaches care about that? We saw the Jets a couple years ago when they could have gotten Trevor Lawrence. They won 2 out of their last 3 games, I think. So you never know if these players and coaches are tanking and they don't think like fans. So the Jags don't need it. The Texans don't really want to win. Peterson said he's going to play all his guys, but he didn't say for how long. He didn't say, hey, I'm going to play him the whole game. The Texans have owned the Jags, which is another little interesting angle. I don't know if Peterson wants to take his foot off the gas here with a young team that's played well. To me, this is dog or pass. There's too many moving parts to try to handicap the motivation. I really don't know what to expect from this game, so I just can't bet it just because all that uncertainty. Well, what are your thoughts here? Jags now laying 3.5 against Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could tease the Texans up. They haven't won at home yet this year, so that might be motivation, to try to get one win here at home. They actually are good against the Jaguars, strangely.
Like 20 out of 24, 9 in a row, 15 out of
Yeah.
17. I'm now, again, a lot of that's different coaches, different quarterbacks, but that's a straight. I was shocked by some of those stats.
Yeah, that division is like rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
Like, the Jags
Jags
always
own the
beat
Colts.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. So, um, I I know Peterson, he didn't like Hurts and he didn't want to, win that game, and that's kind of why he was out in Philly. Uh, but what's the? I don't really see the point in playing these guys longer. I didn't see the point though for Dallas, and we got Dak Prescott throwing the ball in the fourth quarter up 2
Right.
scores. You know what I mean? So it's hard to, maybe we overthink it here a little bit. Maybe the Jags say, hey, we want to go get this right, keep this thing going. And they could roll, on paper. I would think they would win this game pretty comfortably more often than not, but obviously it's not played on paper. So and the Texans, yeah, I mean, those guys are probably looking for jobs next year, trying to put some good tape out there. So it would be a pass on the side for me. I may take a couple props that I kind of like some value in. I think there's some value in like Trevor Lawrence rushing yards. He looks like he's more apt to run. It's a pretty low number. I think it's around like 12 and a half, I think last time I saw. That seems like a low enough clip where 2 or 3 scrambles he can get there. Evan Ingram seems like he's got a nose for the end zone right now. I like his touchdown at about 2-1. Outside of that, I don't really see a ton. I would like Etienne, but he doesn't score. So I tried to get cute and go Etienne last time the Jags played. It was like he's due, but he's just not. And Lawrence got he got the touchdown for us with the scramble. Um, maybe look that way again. I don't know. It's kind of a tough one because that was not only was it the first touchdown, it was the last touchdown of the game. So um, I don't know. Yeah, do you have a strong feeling either way?
No, I grabbed
Yeah,
some early fours and fours and a half, four and a halves, I think. But that was honestly that was a mistake based on not a mistake, but I forgot about the tie because I have Bears worst record, or I think
yeah,
it's fewest wins, and they're a win. Bears have one more win, and they beat the Texans.
hmm
So, but I forgot about the tie. So now it's like I completely forgot about the number one pick aspect of it. So that's enough to take me off it. I just don't know what to make of this game. I don't know that the Texans are going to play their guys. How long? I'm sorry, the Jags are going to play their guys. How long? Do the Texans want to win? Do they tank this game? I worry about, with all the games on the board, I worry about sitting here betting on what could be like a preseason game. There's just too many moving parts. And to speak to that, I'm trying to look at the odds on FanDuel for first touchdown. They won't even post anything. They'll post full anytime touchdown, but they're not posting anything for first touchdown.
All right. So first touchdown, I got some on DraftKings.
Okay.
Etienne is 650. Kirk is 900. Freeman and Cooks 900 and 11-1. Ingram 11-1. Zay Jones 13-1. Uh, Lawrence 20-1. I to me, I think the play is maybe Ingram 11-1 or Jones 13-1. I think they can get it done. Um, but again, yeah, I'm just not going to get too invested in this because it's too hard for me to figure out what the Jags are going to do. Um, yeah, I was wrong on the Cowboys. I faded a couple of their things, thinking they would take their foot off the gas, but they seem content on continuing to go up there. Uh, they like to pad stats too, so I guess that was my fault for not thinking. They wanted to chase their stats, but the Jags, I don't know how many of these guys are close to contract incentives or anything like that that may, in I think all eyes will be on Tennessee next week. That game will be fun to bet. This one, I think there's better spots to get involved.
Yeah, and the Jags in the driver's seat to win that division. That division will come down to next week against the Titans. Already some look ahead lines. Jags 6.5 point favorites. There are some crazy scenarios where the Jags can still get a wild card, but those are very far fetched, like 1%, less than 1%. So
Yeah,
Jags in good shape, whether it's Zob or Willis next week. You figure the Jags win and get in, and if they get in, that's a hell of an AFC crop of quarterbacks, an AFC playoff field. When you look at Herbert, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, maybe Lamar Jackson's back. That's an awesome.
yeah,
It's going to be an awesome playoff. Moving on here, the Lions still alive, need a couple of wins, need some help, but they've got a path here to the playoffs. They're laying 5.5 against Chicago. I never like laying this many points with a bad defense, but they're coming off a performance where they were embarrassed. Last week against Carolina, just completely dominated the line of scrimmage. Total 52.5. I made this comparison before. The Lions home games are like Colorado Rockies home games. It's over or nothing. There's so much scoring. I would look to, you could tease the Lions. You could take the Lions on a team total over. If I had to bet it, I guess I'd lay the points. I think the Lions figure out a way to win this game. Again, you don't love laying points with a bad defense, but I would lean towards Detroit, and I'd probably take them on a team total over. What are your thoughts here, Lions and the Bears?
yeah. Over, of course. Rushing props for um, Justin Fields, for Jamal Williams. Both are chasing records and contract incentives, and they both had good games in Chicago. You would think here in Detroit that'll continue. Yeah, to me, the Lions, uh, if I were to have to play a side, I guess they would be the side, but maybe you tease them down like them with the Eagles. I guess compare it to a money line parlay, make sure you're getting the right price. I think they come away with the win. The Bears just lack enough talent to get wins right now. Uh, and Detroit, with all the motivation in the world, uh, it's hard for me to see the Bears getting an upset today. But I do think they'll move the ball a little bit, uh, and that's why I like the over. But yeah, to me, I'm going to pour into some player props here, and specifically in the running game on both sides of the ball. I like it a lot. I think it'll be a fun game, a lot of scoring. So this is the one you want to kind of attack.
Anything for you first touchdown? Our
Uh,
boy.
yeah, you got to go Williams, of course.
Got to be more specific.
Yeah. J.A.M. Williams.
Still got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still got to be more
Still got to
specific.
be more specific. Yeah, no, I would say Jamal Williams.
Plus 650 at FanDuel.
Yeah, yeah, that's good value. You can get Fields at 10-1 if you think the Bears can get it done. Jameson Williams, 25-1. That I may have to throw a sprinkle on that because to me that's too long of a price for a guy that could get it done. Now we gotta acknowledge Shane. Is it Zlice? How do you pronounce his last name? Zylstra? Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns or whatever. So like, I mean, he's 35-1. If you want to look that way, um, maybe we get a defensive touchdown. Both of the defense, like the Lions special teams and defense is 28-1. I mean that seems like pretty high. The Bears turn the ball over pretty frequently, so that I mean I feel like that's in play too. So, but yeah, no, I think I'll just play both of the Jam Williams, and we'll go that route. Maybe just split a unit on those two guys, and hopefully I'm right.
Yeah, a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of options with that Detroit
Yeah.
offense. They are really good on offense, especially when they're healthy, especially when they're home. And the Bears are just a mess on defense, man.
Oh
They
yeah.
just the trade of Roquan Smith, the injuries in the secondary, and you get them in a setting where the weather isn't a factor, unlike last week against the Bills. I think they will get
Yeah.
shredded today. I think that the Lions put up plenty of points, so maybe just a Lions team total over would be a play for me.
Nice.
Moving on, and this is First and Gold presented by Pickett Sports. Download the Pickett app for all your betting needs, bet splits, trends. Track your bets. It is an essential tool for all bettors. Pickett Sports. Let's go Patriots and Dolphins. Dolphins now in danger of missing the playoffs. Boy, those to win the division bets, those are long gone. This is now hanging on for dear life. Probably not going to see two of the rest of the year. I wouldn't think. You never know, but I wouldn't expect to see them. It'll be Bridgewater today. Patriots laying 2.5, total 40.5. Totals come crashing down. I could see an under here, similar to Washington, Cleveland. I could see an under. I could see the dog as a teaser. So maybe this will probably be 20-17. Somebody close, low scoring. I don't know who to pick. I'd lean New England, but curious to hear your thoughts. Pats and Dolphins.
I kind of lean Dolphins here. I think it's too big of a swing. I think Teddy's just good enough to keep this thing moving a little bit. Uh, Too many weapons. And I think Mac Jones is just not on the same page with Matt Patricia and what they want to do on offense. And I think when you can get the ball out into Waddle and Mostert and Hill and all these guys, you can get it out to them. There's just too much speed for the Patriots. I think they'll have just enough plays in them to get the win outright. So I would go ahead. I think I would play the Dolphins money line instead of just messing with the 2.5. Because to me there's just no. The Patriots don't give me any confidence. The Dolphins are floundering, and it's hard to back them right now. But I just think there's too many good skill players here, and Mac Jones just he's not showing me enough. This offense is not. I don't think they can score 20 points, and I think the Dolphins can, even with Teddy.
Yeah, that's fair. Teddy had the nickname, he's earned the nickname Teddy Covers. He's been great as a dog his whole career where he's bounced around, whether it's the Saints, his random stints with Carolina. He's been great as a dog. He hasn't played great the last 5 or 6 starts. We've seen him. He hasn't been the same. I don't know. He's not that old, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been as effective recently. I lean towards, I just look, I think the Patriots probably win the game. I'm sort of with you though, where it's teasing the dog, it's the under.
Yeah.
Anything for you first touchdown? As pull up the odds here. It's Stevenson 6-1, Hill 8-1, Mostert 9-1. Anything catch your eye for first touchdown?
I mean, Waddle, I'm seeing 10-1. I think I could get behind that. Hill at almost 10-1. I could get behind that too. Uh, Maybe just split a unit on those guys. I'm not taking a Patriot. So, you know, I'll tip my cap. Mostert came out and he was on fire in the first quarter, averaging like 10 yards a carry. And then all of a sudden it was Jeff Wilson the whole second quarter. And it was like, what are you doing, McDaniel? Like, you had a good thing going. I was on Mostert's rushing yards. They're lower this week too. It's 36 for Wilson and 42 for Mostert. If they run the ball like they can, those both of those guys should go over this. But yeah, I would play on the wide receivers. I think the game plan is going to be get them involved, slants, jet sweeps as much as they, however, screen passes. And Waddle's receiving yards only 54 and a half. I kind of like that too. But I would play one of the star wideouts for the first touchdown.
Chiefs Broncos, a bunch of moving parts here. The Chiefs always beat the Broncos, I think 12, 13 in a row, something like that. But the Broncos always seem to keep it close. And I think there's perceptions of these teams where like, oh, the Chiefs, they blow everybody out. The Broncos, they're terrible. They get blown out by everybody. Both these teams play a lot of close games against, each other, against just, all the teams in general. Broncos seem to give them fits. They played a few weeks ago. I remember it was 27-0, and the Broncos came back and almost won. They did cover. You get the new coach. Sometimes that you get a little bump with the interim
Right.
coach. And although, did they hate the coach or they hate Wilson? That's an interesting thing to think about. The 12.5 looks a little high to me. I lean towards Denver. I haven't played it, but if I would, I would take the points. Also, you like usually betting on the team that gets embarrassed the week before. You figure they show a little pride. So I'll probably end up betting Denver plus 12.5. That looks like a little too high of a line. What are your thoughts here, Chiefs Broncos?
I agree with all of your sentiment of like they probably hate Wilson more than Hackett because like how bad of a guy was Hackett? Like, he got along with Aaron Rodgers, like, you know what I mean? He just wasn't ready to be the head coach. Uh, but he also, you give him a broken quarterback and an offensive line that couldn't stay healthy and all these other weapons. To me, I think the Chiefs are motivated, but like you said, division game late in the season, 12 and a half, like, that's a lot of points. But I think the Broncos defense is finally just broken. I think that they kept them in these games for as long as they did. They were, uh, you could just see the quit in the team. You know what I mean? And so it's hard for me to want to back a team that showed me quit. And so with the Chiefs with plenty to play for, home team, um, I think Mahomes is chasing some passing yards records. I think he could kind of light it up. I think Juju could have a nice game. I know he is. I'm reading some things here. He can get a $500,000 bonus if he passes 900 receiving yards. He only needs 23 for that. So his receptions, his yards are probably a good look. Mahomes will want to get him those uh, incentives while chasing his own passing yard stuff. So I do think they'll kind of light up Denver today, but I wouldn't want to get involved in the side just because it's too many points. Player props for me.
Anything catch your eye first touchdown?
Um,
Odds here.
yeah, let me pull up the odds so I can see.
Short shot. Kelsey 6-1. Pacheco 7-1. See what our boy Mahomes is. Mahomes has run for, I feel like run for a couple. We've seen a little bump in the quarterback touchdowns lately. Lawrence got one on prime time last week. Mahomes is 18-1. I remember they used to be 30, 35-1 every week. 18-1. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you like here?
Yeah, not a ton. I almost think there's some value kind of going on the Denver side, just because it's all the Chiefs guys. You like It's like chief. So where's the first Bronco? Murray 18-1, Sutton 19-1, and Judy 22-1. Like I think it's almost worth just playing like maybe one of the Bronco or split a unit on the Broncos wide receivers.
Yes.
Like you could hit a 10-1 there. Um, yeah, I mean the Chiefs. Reed is so good at drawing stuff up. You never know who's going to be in the backfield. Is it going to be McKinnon, Pacheco? Is it going to be a backup tight end or a fullback that get it's to me that I'm not going to get involved in that. So I do like playing one of those Broncos receivers at that value. That's really good value.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Judy is active as we start to get some of these in act. Judy is active. Olave is active for the Saints. That's a big one. You never know when these guys are banged up and they're active if they're 100%, especially
Right.
finals for a lot of people in fantasy. You never trust that when they're on the injury report. That gives you enough of a pause to just maybe go in another direction. An interesting game here. Giants with a chance to clinch a playoff spot. They're laying 5.5, total 38.5. I don't know that the Giants should be favored by 5.5 over anyone. They usually don't play well at home, cover well at home. That you don't think of that as being like a raucous home crowd. That will be a crazy building today because they haven't been to the playoffs in a while. They have no expectations. They'll be excited to be able to clinch a playoff spot
Mm-hmm.
today. They host the Colts. The Colts were off on Monday Night Football, laying 5.5. I'd probably lean towards the Colts. You could tease the Giants. You figure the Giants figure out a way to win a close game. They play
Mm-hmm.
nothing but close games. It seems like not sure I have the appetite to lay it here. I'd lean towards the Colts plus the 5.5, a low total. What are your thoughts, Giants and Indy?
Yeah, same exact kind of wavelength as you. I mean, Foles and the offense can't be nearly as bad. They can't be as bad as they were. There's only one way to go is up from there. So you would think they would get some first downs. They would be able to move the ball a little bit better, but um, I think yeah, if I'm Dable, I'm leaning on Saquon. I'm going to try my best to get him 20 to 25 touches today, and hopefully he can carry the team into the playoffs here. You drafted him as high as you did for a reason. I think you ride him here. Don't get too cute. Don't have Daniel Jones throwing the ball all over the yard because that'll help the Colts. You know what I mean? That'll be their chance if they can get turnovers. Um, so I would be conservative. I would run the ball. Um, and so that leans to the under for me. I think the under. Um, it's pretty low, 39, but like I could see the Giants winning this thing, 20-14 or something like that. Like I think under is the play. Colts just don't have enough pop anymore. Where is the points coming from? The Giants could probably get after Foles a little bit. So even if they're a little bit better on offense, I don't think it's enough. I wouldn't lay the 5.5 though. I think I would just take. There's a lot of 5.5s today. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Giants money line makes sense. Maybe do a money line parlay. Eagles, Giants. Um, that could make sense. I think the Lions are another one of those 5.5. Like the three of those teams at home that need wins, like that all kind of makes sense against teams that aren't really need. They don't need wins. Like what are they playing for at this point? So
Which
uh,
sometimes that can backfire. Teams, you call it motivation. You could also use a different word, and you could use pressure, where it's like some of these times, we saw
yeah,
last year Colts Jags the final week of the season. Like, oh, the Colts have all the motivation, Jags have no motivation. The Colts come in and just get destroyed as like
exactly.
17-point favorites get buried. Sometimes
That's
these
why I'm
teams,
like, you're taking Carson Wentz and in
right?
a game like this, like, yeah, no,
Good point.
yeah,
Good point.
he is a way of capitulating, and yeah, so I just I'd be inclined to go Saquon kind of props, which might be a decent little segue here. I know he's made a comeback here for the comeback player of the year award.
Fascinating market.
Yeah, it just ebbs and flows. I still think it's Geno's because he's going to throw for over 4,000 yards. He's going to lead the league in passing accuracy. Yeah, they haven't been able to win here, but like, Saquon for as good as he's been here, they're about. I mean, if they squeak into the back end of the playoffs in a bad NFC, is that enough? His production is nowhere near McCaffrey. Like, yeah, uh, I think you got to go. I think it's still Geno, or and maybe if they got an appetite to give it to McCaffrey, they could do it. But yeah, I mean the ebbs and flows of this market has been insane. I wanted to ask you about that because were you on him earlier in the year?
Barkley 25-1.
Yeah. So I mean, you're alive. I think if he has a big game, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, he might grab the lead here. He may move ahead uh of Geno and McCaffrey. So
And I grabbed McCaffrey plus 750 a couple weeks ago,
nice.
and I grabbed Geno 5-1. I think I'm still slanted towards Barkley, but I think I got all my bases covered. There's been some Nick Gates push recently, the Giants offensive lineman who had a bunch of surgeries. I'd have a hard time seeing him win it. I don't know what to make. It's such a vague market. I don't know what the parameters are. Is it coming back from injury? Is it coming back from poor performance? I always think it's best redemption story. If the Seahawks lose again and we can move on to this game, Jets Seahawks. If they lose again, I don't know. I think it's fairly a coin toss here between Geno, Barkley, and McCaffrey. It's
Yeah.
three-way sort of. Who knows? We just don't know what these voters are thinking and what their criteria are.
Yeah, it is tough. I think for the Seahawks here, like against the Jets, they get what Jets got Mike White back today.
Yes, we can go to that game
Yeah,
right now. Jets are laying 1.5. I like the Jets. I just think they have a better roster. To me, it's simple with the Jets. When Wilson plays, you bet against them. When Wilson doesn't play, you bet on him. The Seahawks sort of the cat's out of the bag here. They were a nice story the first couple months. They have not covered a football game in a long time. They're just bad on defense. To me, the Jets are a much better roster. I know it's not an easy place to win, but I'll take the Jets here. I think they win the game, and they got a good shot if they win. I think if they win out, they got like a 90% chance to get in the playoffs. So they're still in good shape after losing a couple games here.
yeah.
I like the Jets minus 126 on the money line. What do you got with this one?
I like the over 43.5. I think this, 24-20 get you a win here. I think this game will push the 30s. For the reason you said, Mike White gives this offense life. I think Lockett being back as well only helps Geno here. So you could put Sauce Gardner on Lockett or Metcalf, I guess. That'll be fun to see him try to guard Metcalf. Like that'll be not that Metcalf's the best receiver in the league, but he's a unique challenge with his physical, tools. I feel like it'll be fun. This is a game where a lot of awards are kind of hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
We got offensive rookies of the year, defensive rookie of the year. We
Well, I think
mentioned
Gardner's in pretty good shape. At least the market
yeah,
does. But Gardner's minus
defensive side.
1,200.
He's good. Yeah, I mean,
He
I
is
think
very
he
good.
probably got it locked up. But if DK, makes him look bad, runs him over, catches a touch. I mean, these things, like we talked
Yes.
about, how fast they can change. I'm not sure who can really catch him right now, but yeah, he's probably got it locked up. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I like the over. I think I like Geno over his rushing yards. It's a pretty low total here. I'm seeing 14.5. I think he can easily clip that. Against a defense like that, they may lock things up in the secondary and he'll have to take off and run. That does make sense to me. The touchdown scores are all pretty low. I don't love the value here. There's so many guys under 2-1, which tells me the over is the right side here. When you got this many guys, the 7 or 8 guys here that are sub $2 for a touchdown, I think the over is the play. Mike White it's night and day. It's 2 different teams, like you
Yeah.
said. So I think I would get involved in Garrett Wilson catches, yards, touchdown. I would get involved in a couple of the different things like that. I think Wilson, if he has a big game here, I think he can kind of lock up offensive rookie of the year. And you've seen it, like he has bad games with Wilson and great games with Flacco and White. So yeah, I think it's a fun game. I think it'll be the most competitive of that late window. So That'll be on the big screen.
49ers Raiders. This seems like an overreaction. Carr hadn't been playing well. They really bumped this line a lot. Niners laying 9.5, total 41.5. It'll be Stidham for the Raiders. If you want to use a 7-point teaser and get the Niners down, I could certainly see that. I don't have anything on the side. I don't really want to lay this many points with Purdy. You feel like he's due for a dud at some point. They're being very cautious with him. If you look at some of the advanced metrics, it's not a lot of big time throws. It's a lot of underneath stuff. But hey, he's the last pick of the draft. They're managing the offense around him. But to me, it's a pretty easy pass. Maybe a Raiders team total under. We don't have to spend a ton of time here as we're winding down. Raiders and Niners. Anything for you?
No, the side is like you said, it's in teaser range, so that makes sense to take the Niners down. I think. But what is the Niners' motivation for this game? Because they're
Two
pretty well.
seed. Two seed.
They can get the 2 seed, which would be an extra home game.
Because they're Minnesota. Look, I'm a Vikings fan. The Vikings are not going into San Fran and winning on the road. The Vikings only hope of winning a 2-3 round 2 matchup. Of course, they both have to win. You have to get Purdy in Minnesota and hope he just implodes. I don't think Minnesota is winning in San Fran. So I actually think the 2-3 is very important.
I just feel I think the Niners, like, they know they can beat any team in the league. Like,
oh sure,
yeah, they're such a good matchup, like, for anybody. Like, I would say
road playoff game for that kid though. We'll see. I know the roster's awesome. Trust me, I'm the biggest Niners fan in terms of the roster.
Right.
But getting that look, and that's to me, it matters more for Minnesota than San Fran. Like I said, any hope for Minnesota, you need to get them in your building for that round 2 matchup. But there's a chance he implodes and just looks like the 7th round, the last pick of the draft at some point. So that is what's at stake.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna try to get cute and say Jarrett Stidham interception, but it's minus 250 pre-flop, so obviously you can't play that. I would think that the Raiders have to lean on Jacobs a little bit here. They're not going to want him dropping back and throwing the ball 35, 40 times. So Jacobs, even though it's a great defense, his yardage is only 52.5. I think he can clip that. He'll probably touch the ball, get 16 to 18 carries, somewhere in that kind of range. That's a pretty low total. He gets 12, 13-yard run. You're doing really good. So McCaffrey, he could be your all-purpose guy, get you a ton of stuff here. There's just not a lot to like here. Kittle seems like he's the go-to guy for Purdy. His yards are low too at 46.5. I could, that's maybe 2 or 3 catches for Kittle. So I think I might look that way. Makes some sense for me to jump in there. And until he doesn't do it with Purdy, then I'll go ahead and take it.
Anything for first touchdown?
Looking here. I think this is one where first touchdown. There we go. I was looking at the anytime market. All right, looking here, we've got the Niners defense and special teams at 25-1. I kind of like that. Darren Waller 22-1. That's pretty great price for him. With a backup quarterback in there, you would think Renfro and Waller will be the guys. Quicker throws. Adams, like, his routes, he can run any of the routes. I just think he's a fade today with Stidham back there. So Renfro and Waller, although it's tough, man, you're going to be throwing against those linebackers. There's nothing I really like. I'll just say that.
Okay. Moving on, a game I like the over here. Minnesota, Green Bay. Green Bay's laying 47.5. To me, the Vikings are just a dead nut over team. They can't stop anybody. They can score. They can. We know they can claw their way back into these games by throwing the ball to Jefferson and their great receiver. So to me, this is an over game. This is a 27-24 type of game. The Vikings, all they do is win or lose games by field goals. So I would look for the over here. I think we'll see plenty of points. Probably think Green Bay wins. I just don't like laying points against Minnesota. I don't like laying points with Minnesota. They just play every game so close. But I like the over. What do you like here? Vikings, Packers. You can go right into first touchdown too if you want.
Yeah. What is the weather in Lambeau today? I want to look that up real quick before I get too crazy because I do like the narrative that you said. But the over makes sense. But I just want to make sure I'm not talking out of turn and it be like crazy weather or
It's
anything.
not crazy. It's not.
Yeah.
I know it's cold. It's going to be cold, but I don't think we're dealing with any crazy wind or anything like
No,
that. The
yeah.
wind is
Pretty standard. I mean, mid 30s it looks like and clear. So and yeah, sub 10 degree or 10-mile-an-hour winds. So yeah, nice conditions for offense. I think you're right. The over is probably a good look. Um it's hard to not like Jefferson. I mean, they're very clearly chasing 2,000 yards, and they can't hang a number high enough on his receptions. You know,
right.
7.5, something like that. Like,
Can't take him away either. You can just throw him a screen pass and he goes for 20 yards. I mean,
right.
there's no way to keep the ball away from him.
Cousins locks in on him as much as Stafford does Cooper Cup.
Right.
So it's let's see, receptions. I don't have Jefferson listed
T1's been quiet lately. Osborne's gotten a little bit of love. It's been a lot of Hawkinson, obviously a lot of Jefferson. There's just so many mouths to feed.
Yep. Yeah, Jefferson's yards, I'm seeing 97.5 on DraftKings. I was shopped that around. I think you got to play Jefferson catches, yards over. I think Alexander is a really good corner, but he doesn't follow. So they'll just move Jefferson wherever he ain't. You know what I mean? And try to target him as much as possible. So but yeah, neither team can stop the run. It's hard to not think Aaron Jones and Dalvin Cook are probably good looks. AJ Dillon for touchdowns. Um, the yards are all kind of low for me. Like Cook, 76.5. I mean, you would think he can clip that. Uh, Dillon and Jones are both around 50 yards. I mean, the Vikings, you can run all over them too. So
Should mention too, Green Bay eliminated with a loss, 2 wins, and they play Detroit next week. But 2 wins, they win today, they win to next week. All they need is one Washington loss out of the next two, and they get in, which is crazy.
yeah,
There were some crazy prices on them to go to the playoffs.
yeah,
All these different things. So still need a lot to go right, but hey, it's pretty much right in front of them.
yeah. I mean, I think Minnesota would want to win this game. To try to just exercise that demon a little bit, like that. But yeah, I can't trust them here. I think Packers back against the wall is the right side. So um, I there's a couple things I kind of like in terms of maybe just take Rodgers to have 200 yards and them to win. You know what I mean? You can kind of parlay those two things together and get around an even money bet. I think. Let me double check that's accurate. It may be minus 120 ish kind of range here. But yeah, I like what the Packers are doing right now. I think they've kind of got a little luck on their side, and yeah, I'm just making sure that price. Yeah, even money. Aaron Rodgers, 200 passing yards, Packers money line. Like I think that's a pretty good bet, all things considered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wrapping up here, first and goal, Pickett Sports. Download the Pickett app. The Battle of LA, Rams and Chargers. Rams have actually shown a little life lately. Baker's playing for a contract. Usually a dead team like the Rams that's coming off a Super Bowl, veteran team. They just mailed in the last month. Well, the Rams different because they don't have their pick, so there's no reason to tank. Baker's playing for his career.
Yeah.
Played well last week. Played well. He's shown you something under McVay. You never trust the Chargers to win by margin. To me, the Chargers are a nice teaser piece. Would lean towards the Rams plus the points. Haven't bet anything yet. Not sure if I will. Curious what your thoughts here, Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah. I think I would look at there's some value in the Chargers second tier kind of guys. I know Eckler's a little banged up coming into this. So I think looking at guys like Josh Kelly for a touchdown would be a good look. I don't know. I mean, Allen and Williams, they missed too many games to have any sort of records or incentives to kind of chase. I don't think Herbert's chasing anything with any significance. So Yeah, I think they want to try to just get this game over with. What the Chargers get healthy. It, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think the Rams, they showed me that they're going to commit to the run. Chargers kind of struggle to stop it. So
Chargers are getting a little healthier on defense, a little better
yeah,
on defense the last few games. And that's mentioned the AFC playoff crowd. That's it's a
yeah,
cliche. The team you don't want to play, that is a team with a lot of talent, man. If you draw them round one, if you're the Bengals and you sit there in the three
yeah.
six, and you have to play them round one. That is not a fun matchup, man. They could end your season.
It's well, yeah. You get Bosa back, which would be huge. What did you make of Derwin James's hit? Did you think it was as
Oof.
dirty as people were trying to say it? I didn't think it was that dirty. Like
He hurt
it was
himself as much as I thought it was,
a dangerous play, but I don't
yeah.
think it was necessarily like he wasn't. I don't think he should have been thrown out of the game.
I didn't
Like,
think his intention. It's just I think the announcer said it well. It's like that's the trying to play trying to get rid of. I don't think he had bad
yeah,
intentions. He was trying to make a play. I don't think it was vicious or dirty or it was
right,
gratuitous. He was trying to break up a pass. He had the angle and he just kind of lit him up. It was, it's
yeah,
football. I mean, I get it. I didn't think it was ill intended, but
yeah.
I understand the reaction to it.
I'm with you, man. To me, I thought it was a little soft. Like 5, 10 years ago, we're celebrating that hit.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's just I don't know. I thought that was kind of soft, but from yeah, on the Rams side, I Cam Akers, gosh, man, they show what a resurrection for him. He was looking like he was froze out, was not going to play anymore for the Rams,
right.
and now he's like back and in the good graces. Tyler Higbee is definitely Baker's guy in this offense. I think he had like 90 yards last game, so I think I would say Akers and Higby are kind of the guys I would target a little bit here. And with the chance that Eckler may be limited, because I know he got his knee touched up in that last game. Why risk your guy like that, who's so important to what you do? I think Josh Kelly gets a lot of work today in a game where hey, Chargers just get the hell out of there, like roll this running clock. Why are we? What are they? They can't do anything. They can't really improve. They're just going to play uh, what, the fourth place team or the third place team. I'm not sure how
Who
it
is
shakes.
that?
Chargers, like
It
they're pretty
depends. If
well
you can get
locked
to
in.
the five, if you can get to the five, you can play. So that's a big advantage. If you can get to the five, you get the AFC South winner. Which, hey, if it
Okay.
comes down to the Bengals, Bills, or Chiefs, one of that 3 seed, or being the 7, you play the 2. You much rather play. I know Jacksonville's playing well. You'd much rather go to Jacksonville than deal with the 3 big boys. So there is some incentive for these teams like
Yeah,
the Ravens and
I
the
thought the
Chargers to
Ravens
get
were
to the five.
kind of locked into the five, but maybe I guess I'm wrong there. Yeah, there's too many different scenarios. I guess if the Ravens they lose out, because yeah, the Ravens have one more win than the Chargers, right? Okay, so yeah, I guess there is a little something to play
Yeah, because
for.
the Ravens have the Steelers, and that'll be our last game. The Ravens have the
Yep.
Steelers tonight, which they could lose, and who knows when we'll see Lamar. If we ever see Lamar in a Ravens uniform again, and then they're at the Bengals next week, a game the Bengals will probably be a touchdown favorite in. So, yeah, it's still there for the Chargers to get the 5.
Yeah.
I do think the 5's a major advantage.
Yeah, I think you're right. I guess that maybe I was thinking it was a little more locked in, where the Ravens kind of had that fifth seed pretty well sewn up. And I don't know. I guess that's not the case. So yeah, going into tonight's game, it's in Baltimore, night game. So I lean Ravens here, even without Lamar. And like you mentioned, like I think if they would have paid him already, he would be playing. Like the fact that the contract hasn't been done is the reason Lamar's sitting out. Like, and good for him. I wouldn't be out there in harm's way if the team
Right.
hasn't shown like, hey, we're you're our guy. And honestly, like their goal is to win a Super Bowl. Like, yeah, I know they're probably not going to get it done this year. So it is kind of tough for me to want to invest any money on, especially lay points with Baltimore. But I
Right.
think you just we do what we do in every Baltimore game. We take Justin Tucker field goals,
Yep.
and take the under.
I wasn't seeing it in any of these books. I just looked quickly at Rivers, which is right down the street
Yeah,
for me, and I looked at FanDuel. I saw points, but I didn't see that over 1.5 field goals, which I am gonna unload on if I see it.
Yeah, so we are at minus 125 on DraftKings. I'll look at the Canby books. But yeah, I'm gonna just get in on Justin Tucker field goals over 1.5. Um, he never misses, and he never misses.
Except the 1 week,
Except
2 weeks
the
ago
one
when I
week.
absolutely unloaded on him. Except for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, except for the 1 week where we got where. But hey, if you just played it blind bet all
Oh yeah.
season long, like that would be probably one of the more profitable props this year. So
Yep.
I think that's the move. Baltimore.
Do you see it? It can be or anything.
Let me pull up the book real
You do
quick.
see? You said you do see the DraftKings.
DraftKings 125. Canby sometimes has it a smidge cheaper. And yeah, FanDuel does kicking points, which is I don't like the kicking points angle. To me, it's just not worth it. Uh,
Right.
but special teams.
Although, like he's 6.5 points. Are they really going to score 6 points? Like if he gets the 2 field goals, he's not going to get one extra point. I guess it's possible. He's not going to get one other field goal. I guess it's possible they only scored 6 points tonight, but that's pretty heavily correlated. Be very hard to win the 2 field goals and lose the under 6.5 points. But I
Yeah,
agree. I just don't want that extra anxiety. I just want to see that second field goal go through the upright
no, it's
and
cashed, right?
yes.
Yeah, it to me 30. It's 35 and a half,
Yep.
like the total.
Great teaser leg for Pittsburgh. Get it up to 7.5. To me, that's a
Yep,
great teaser leg. It's a
yep.
great teaser day. I know, and sometimes it can be boring content, so I apologize for that to people. But hey, it's a betting show. It's at
Right.
one hand, it's a cop out to be like, oh, this is a good teaser leg. That's a good teaser leg. People want to know what you think of the games, but hey, it's a betting show. We're trying to make people money. Sometimes, so many of these games are coin flips. Trying to bang your head against the wall, trying to figure out who, being on the right side of this coin flip. It's like, you know what, Browns Washington, take the 7.5. Somebody's going to win by 3. You don't have to worry about it. You just take the points, and not that it's going to win every time, but I think that's just the better approach with how close this league is.
Yeah. So I lied about Canby. Caesars. If you've got Caesars, they've got Tucker minus 117 for 2 made field over 1.5. So I'm going to take it there versus the buck 25
Are you limited?
on DraftKings. I'm about to find out here. Let's see. Well, you want to get down on some action?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, well, text me what you want down on it. We'll get down
Okay.
on it. But yeah, I like that a lot. That's probably our play of the day, isn't it?
Yes,
Like
it is.
transition right into that.
Yes, it is. Pick it play of the day. I was just thinking ahead of what it would be, and that's an easy one. That's
Yeah,
he's going to make 2 field goals. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
I would be too.
And they've learned. I think our loss a couple weeks ago against the Browns. I think that sort of taught them a lesson. It was like, all right, let's just take the points. Let's not go for it when we don't have to. Let's
Yeah.
bank these points. I think the only thing you worry about maybe if they fall behind 14-0 and the field goal, something like that, where the field goals kind of get taken out of the mix. But it should be a close game, low scoring. To me, this is a field goal day.
Yeah, I think this is one where it's just ugly. Slugfest, 13-10, kind of a game. Like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a little more offense, but it's just there's too much at stake here. Like they're not really. Neither team really opens things up. And Pittsburgh, I mean, they're going to play tough no matter what, all the way to the end. They're going to grind this thing, and yeah, I think this is one where you stay away from touchdowns tonight. You lean into the kickers, you're probably going to be a happy camper.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good point. All right, that's our pick and play of the day. Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals. I think we covered it all, man. We got through all the games, 14 games. We went through it pretty quickly. I think it was good info,
Yep.
Matt. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Will.
I'll post my plays on my channel. We've got a few that we lead. We'll make these official. I'll post these on my channel. Appreciate you guys listening, Matt. This was fun. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to the audience.
Yep.
Let's make this the year we win all of our freaking bets. This is the year. Thank you to Pickett Sports. Go Boys. We'll see you next week, and good luck.
Thanks, guys.